Hi, my name is Anusha Akireddy and I am in Group 3, and as for my portion of the project, I will be talking about the Limited Contention Protocol and the Adaptive Tree Walk protocols. So before I get started on these two protocols, we know that collisions and networking, they occur when different stations attempt to transmit data at the same time on a shared transmission channel. As you can see in this picture, we have two different computers and they're both trying to transmit data at the same time, which is why a data collision occurs. Both the protocols combine the advantages of collision-based and collision-free protocols. Well, what is the difference, or how do they compare the collision-based and collision-free protocols? Well, in the collision-based protocols, they allow for transmission without the stations attempting to detect whether the channels are ideal or not, while in collision-free protocols, collision is prevented by eliminating all possibilities of collision by resolving channel access issues during the contention period. This picture right here is an example of collision-free protocols. As you see, the station is proceeding, and which is why the 2-0 stations, they give up. The Adaptive Tree Walk protocol. In this protocol, all the nodes intending to transmit data are divided into groups in a hierarchy manner. As you can see in the diagram, we have all the nodes that are trying to transmit data, they're divided into groups. So 3 is divided into groups A and B, 4 has C and D. The Limited Contention Protocol. In the Limited Contention Protocol applies a similar principle of dividing the competing nodes into groups. As you can see in this diagram, we then have 3 is divided into A and B, 4 is divided into C and D, 5 has E and F, and 6 has G and H. And also it subdivides the contention period into time slots. However, the Limited Contention Protocol is more dynamic and differs in the working principle, in the sense that at the initial slot, that is the slot 0, only nodes in group 0 are allowed to compete for that channel. And at slot 1, only members of group 1 are allowed to compete for the channel, and the trend continues. So for 2, it would only be the groups that are in 2 that are allowed to compete. In the event of a collision for a given slot, then the nodes or stations in the next group can compete for the slot. So for slot 0, based on this picture right here, we can see that C, E, F, and H, all nodes under node 0, can try. And so for slot 1, C, all nodes under node 1 can try, and so on. The major difference. So we have talked about these two protocols. So what is the major difference between them? The major difference between the two protocols is that the Adaptive Tree Walk protocol is rigid in its grouping and time slot allocation. The Limited Contention Protocol is dynamic because it adjusts the size of the group and the number of slots based on the size of the network load. So both of them are very effective, but you just have to, it depends on what the user wants. If a user wants a more rigid protocol, then it would be better to use the Adaptive Tree Walk protocol. But if a user wants one that's dynamic and adjusting to the size of the group, then they would use the Limited Contention Protocol. The question that I have for everyone is, what does the Limited Contention Protocol adjust? And I have just talked about it. It adjusts the size of the group and the number of slots based on the size of the network. Thank you for listening to my presentation.